Hi everyone. So in this video, I'll be showing you how you can create a REST API using AWS in minutes. So sometimes what happens is, let's say you are building any kind of POC application or there's a demo kind of application or hobby application and you have the front end ready and you need a quick backend, right? So with this approach, in minutes, you can spin up a backend. Now, it's not necessary that it has to be a small application. If you can design it properly, you can handle pretty large kind of application with this approach as well, right? So let us understand the architecture first. So this is your client, and client will be sending request to a service you already know. There's a service called Lambda, and if you are not familiar with this service, that's perfectly fine as well. I'll be just showing you, like we'll be logging into the console, and I'll be showing you how you can configure Lambda, right? So the client is sending a request to the Lambda, and you will submit your backend code as a function to this Lambda, right? So when any request is there, Lambda will load that function, load your function basically, right? And it will run the code inside your function. And whatever response you are giving, it will just take that response and it will send that response to the client, right? So this is the flow. Now let us understand a couple of things here. So as you have mentioned, like there will be a function and this function will be given by you, right? You will be writing this function. So basically this function will receive an event, and inside that event you will have the body, headers, query parameters, everything, right? And inside this function you will be handling all this handler like get handler, post handler, put handler. So in this video I will be only showing you the get handler, and all the database connections and everything you will be handling from this function as well, right? So in this video I'm not going into the database part, but you got the idea. All right, so I have logged into my AWS console. If you do not have an AWS account, you can sign up for a free one, and I will put the video in the card so you can find out like how to sign up for a free AWS account. Right? So this is the landing page. You can see the landing dashboard page, and the first thing you have to search for is Lambda. All right, Lambda, and right now for this region, by the way, so there's a concept called region inside AWS. So basically you have to select, for now let's say I'm from India and the application I'm building, most of the users will be from India, right? So that's why I'm choosing, like this is a proximity, like server proximity you can say. So for that reason I'm choosing Mumbai, because the user base I will be having, those users will have like near this region, right? So yeah, you can select the region from here. And in the Mumbai region right now I don't have any kind of function, that's why it's not showing anything, right? If you have multiple function it will just list here. Anyway, hit this create function button, and we'll be authoring the function from scratch, that's fine. And let's call it my quick API. Perfect. And then you have to choose the runtime. There are many runtime that is supported by Lambda. I am choosing the latest node. Okay, node.js basically. If you want, you can go with Python, Ruby, whatever you want. Architecture, whatever the default is, that's fine. And we have to configure some additional things. So click on this additional configuration, and this is the most important part here, this enable function URL, right? So when you are activating this, Lambda will basically expose an public URL or public endpoint to hit that Lambda function, right? It will make sense. So for now authentication type is none. You can handle the authentication from the Lambda if you want, but yeah, this is the setting. You click on the additional configuration, you enable the function URL, and in the authentication type you select none. Perfect. And rest of the things are kind of fine, and hit create function. It should create a function, it might take some time. All right, so the function has been created. You can see there's a success message as well. And now if you scroll down, there's a code section, right? And it has an embedded VS kind of editor here as well. So we'll be using this editor for this video because we need a quick API, right? it is completely possible that you set up your own editor, and from there you do the all the code editing, and then you package the code and deploy the code into AWS. That's completely possible. But for this video, we'll be using the like in-house editor, you can say, from AWS. Anyway, let us toggle full screen so that we can see the code properly. And if you know VS Code, then you are kind of familiar with this setup. And there's a new thing here, you can say deploy. So basically, you will be doing any kind of changes, and you will be hitting this deploy button that will deploy the function, okay, into AWS. Perfect. And there's a test button as well. Test is basically this event, right? You can pass a customized event and run that function to check like if everything is working or not. Let's say from this function you are calling as external database or dynamo database maybe, right? So you can pass events by yourself and check like if the connection is working or not, if it is like handling the data properly or not, those kind of things, right? But as this is an API handler, so basically this event will be coming from the client, right? And uh, if you want, you can mock that event, but we'll be testing in the real situation. Anyway, so right now, this is the code. I'm having the event here, and I'm just sending an hard coded response, right? So instead of sending this hello from Lambda, let us just pass this event. So whatever event that is coming inside this function, I'm just sending back that event, right? And hit save and deploy. So deployment successful. And now we need a special URL. So if you scroll up, you can see here there's a function URL, right? So let us copy that. And if you want, you can use Postman. But for this video, I'm just sending request from my browser, right? So I'm just putting this URL here. And if I hit enter, you can see I'm getting some response. So I have an extension installed that is, it will just prettify the JSON basically. So yeah, so this is the event that was received inside Lambda. Okay. So if I go to the code again, you can see like whatever event I was having, I'm just sending back that event. To prove my point, let me just first show that to you, this to you. So hello from Lambda, hit deploy. If I refresh now, you get hello from Lambda, right? So in similar fashion, let's have the event deploy. Now if I hit refresh, you are getting that event, right? So there are a couple of very important things that is present inside this event. The first thing is the header, right? Whatever header the client is sending, right? Raw path. So right now I'm sending the request to the root path, right? Let's say I'm sending the request to users maybe. Okay. So at that time the path will be changed. So you can see users here, right? Query string, raw query string. If you are passing any kind of query string, that will be like in the raw format you can receive here. And let me just show that to you as well. So users, and let's say name is equal to Bob maybe, right? So if I hit enter, and now the raw query string is name is equal to Bob, but there's an object as well, query string parameters, and it is parsing the query string for you as well. You can see, so name Bob. So this is a JavaScript object, you can say. Anyway, and inside the request context, you are getting some other information. That is, this HTTP one is most important to you, the method. So if you are sending any kind of request like directly from the URL, that will by default the browser will send a GET request, right? So that's why you are getting method is equal to GET. But from the postman, you can check the post, port, those requests as well, right? The path from this raw path, you can get the path as well. But I will be suggesting when you are accessing these kind of variables, you always go from request context HTTP, right? So we're having path, method, protocol, and yeah, rest of the things. If that is necessary to you, you can extract out the request from here. Anyway, so this is the event. Now inside our code, let's say this is an user handler. So let's have some users here. So this is like I'm just mimicking the database, you can say. And there is a auto generating feature inside here as well, that is Amazon Q. So it will give you some suggestion. This is similar to GitHub Copilot maybe. right? So you can just hit tab and it will autocomplete the things for you, right? So I'm having 3 users. So basically, I'm expecting in the path parameter here, right? Slash users and slash and user ID. You have to pass it like this. We're expecting this, right? So we'll be receiving the raw path like this. So if I, so users one, right? We'll be receiving the path like this. And we have to extract out the ID from this raw path. So how to do that? Let me open my JavaScript console quickly. I hope you can see it properly. So this is our raw path. So users slash on, right? So we'll be splitting this string. So there's a JavaScript method you already know. So that is split. Let us actually open a new console because this is blocking us kinda. I don't know what is happening here. Users slash on, what is the exact string? Slash user slash on. Perfect. And let's perform the action here as well. Okay, split, and we wanna split by this. Okay, so we are getting an array, and from that array we can just take the second element, and that will give us the ID, right? So let me just copy this code, head over to our Lambda function, and let me remove this to do implementation. Constant ID is equal to, not from the parameters, we will be getting the event and request context, HTTP, and then path. HTTP and then path. And we want to split this by this, and we want the second argument. Anyway, so we have the ID. Now I'm just finding the user with that particular ID. Perfect. And if I have the user, I can just send the user here, right? Now you can have a switch statement here and extract out the method in the similar fashion. So constant method is equal to request context HTTP method, and based on the methods you can send the response. So for now we are handling the get. So return, let's have this here. Perfect. And by default we want to return 405, maybe method not allowed. All right. And yeah, things looks good here. Let me deploy the code. Perfect. And if I send the request with ID1 now, let's see what happens. So I'm getting the user, right? If I send the request with ID2, hit enter, I'm getting ID2. So you can see how easily, and this is an HTTPS URL, right? So HTTPS, you can see. Now inside your front end, you can start using this URL, and this will be a full-fledged backend, you can say, right? Now from the front end, directly you cannot access this URL now because if you are familiar with a course error, right? Cross origin resource sharing, that error. So right now we are not handling that. So from the function level, if you want, you can handle that. And if you want, you can write some header as well here, right? So uh, from that you will be able to. So if I do it like this, handle course, see, it is giving us the header, proper headers, right? Perfect. So with every request, you can extract out a function as well. With every request you have to send these headers to basically handle the course. Okay, hit deploy, and it will be working. And now if I open the network tab, you can see access control allow origin star, right? So this will just prevent the course error. All right, so this is how you can quickly create an AWS Lambda function and you can put your code here. So basically we are hard coding the users here, but yeah, you can make the database connection. By the way, when you are creating the database connection, it is a very good idea you do it here, right? So you have a function called handle database. Okay, and this function will give you the connection. Now inside the main handler function, you should not establish all the database connection and everything, right? So inside this function, you should check like if the database connection is already existing or not. If that is possible, you can return that database connection, or if it's not present, then you can create a new connection and send back to the handler function, right? So this should be the approach. Anyway, so this is for this video, and if you want to know more about AWS from a developer's perspective, then you can consider subscribing to this channel. Thanks. I'll see you in the next one.